Oh, hello there, welcome back to Crafters TV. We have got a craft along coming up for you now for the next couple of hours, which is going to be lovely. Craft along's all about us all. Actually, do you know what? Stop that. The award-winning craft along is what we've got coming up for you for the next couple of hours. It's when we feature one of our most recent launches and we spend 2 whole hours creating a project together in real time, which is awesome. And the headmistress of Crafters TV is back with us, Queen of the Craft Along. Jan's in the building. How are you, Jan?
I am good, thank you. We're all fed and watered. We're ready to go again. It's like, yes, all good. So this is what we're actually going to be making this afternoon. So using elements from that Swan Lake box. The only thing that I've added to it is a little bit of plain cardstock for stamping on and some acetate. So I'll go through all the requirements that we need, but the rest of it is all from your box. I'm just going to make one slight change to it when we make it today, just to save on cardstock from the box. My bottom layer here, the very pale blue one, was a piece of the 8x8 card from the box, but I'm going to replace that with stamping card just to save you a little bit of your coloured cardstock today. So that's the only change I'm going to make. And then on the back, there is actually, I've just stamped, this is from the stamping compendium, just something that was suitable. And then the whole thing actually folds down flat.
Perfect.
So that you can, I would probably make a gift box or an envelope box to pop it in, because it does have a little bit of depth, but it does, even though it's got those pillars on, they all fold down and you've got sort of, you know, not too much depth in there. Probably a nice little envelope box would go nicely with it. So shall we have a look at what we need? For those of you that are wanting to just get everything together, we're going to be using that gorgeous Swan Lake Sarah Signature limited edition box. So the majority of what you will need will be in there. Just along with that, you'll need 1 sheet of A4 white stamping card and 1 sheet of Nina cardstock and a piece of acetate. Now mine was A5, which is why I put A5, and that's plenty big enough. But if you've got A4, don't worry, we can cut it down to size. And then I've popped a stamping a finesse stamping ink on there, just in case we get round to doing some stamping. 6mm and 3mm red line tape. These are all becoming sort of part of the deal now. Collal all-purpose and your tacky glue and your 2 tape pens. I always put those on now, whether we need them or not. It's like a general basic craft kit. And then, of course, we're going to need something to do the cutting with. Now, there are only small elements in the box. I put the Gemini down with the plates, but if you've got the midi, the elements will fit through the midi. If you've got the mini, I think most of the elements will fit through there as well. And then let's have a little look. If we just flick onto the next list for you, we've got the sort of the equipment that you'll need there. So A4 guillotine, scoreboard and scoring tool. You're used to this now. The bone folder, scissors, pokey tool, pencil and ruler, some kind of stamping platform to go with your ink, foam pads at the ready. And then we've just popped a colouring medium of your choice. We may not get round to the actual stamping and colouring part. We'll see how it goes throughout the course of the show. But if I can get the construction part done for you, then this is literally just stamping from the stamps in the box and just added on. So I can talk you through that, and you can always add those. And you guys are really great at showing me what you've done when you've finished your projects at the end of the day. So that's where we're heading, Joe.
Brilliant.
And I know you're all set up over there, aren't you, as well?
I am indeed. I've got all the gear and no idea laid out over here, so I'm ready to be crafting along with you, which is fantastic. Lots of you tuning in saying hi. Very busy over on the socials. Colette says hello everyone. Georgianne is saying hi from Clearwater, Florida. Rhonda's saying good morning everyone. Nancy's here, I can see too. Joan, Mariah, Lynn, Mary, Pat as well. If you don't yet have this particular collection, do not fear, it's definitely not too late. A couple of options for you. You go for the box on its own. In the box you are going to get card blanks, envelopes, coloured cards, pearlescent cards, printed papers, embossing folder, stencils, stamps, metal dies, ribbons, feathers, even a pot of iridescent glitter in there as well. Or go for the larger collection. If you really want to extend that and prolong the life of it and get even more amazing projects from it, go for this item just here, because this gives you 60 sheets of paper and 2 perfectly matching metallic ink pads within there as well. £64.97 or £82.85, saving you £15, almost $23. But she is here, she is on the line. Rhonda is joining us from Chicago. How are you, Rhonda?
Hello.
Such a pleasure to have you. Such a pleasure to have you with us on this craft along. How are things? How's your weekend going?
Well, I'm so happy to be even crafting at this point. So I'm happy to be here.
We are so happy to have you. Have you got all your bits and bobs gathered and ready to go?
All my bits and bobs are ready.
Ah, I am glad the bits and the bobs are in check, Rhonda. We'll be dropping back in on you real shortly to see how your project's coming along.
Wonderful.
See you soon. Right then, let's just check the comment. Yeah, I think, Jan, if you're ready, everyone else seems to be. I think I've got everything I need. So if I can keep up, I'm sure everyone else will be keeping up.
I'm just going to give a shout out. There was one lady, I don't know whether she's able to watch this afternoon, but Betty, if you're out there and you're watching, just give us a wave so that I know you're there. There was a lady contacted me about using the guillotine. She said she was struggling to get things straight with the guillotine. So if you are out there and you're watching today, Betty, we're going to be doing lots of guillotine work for you. So I thought this was a great opportunity for you to actually see things in action. So give us a wave if you're out there. If not, then we can always get a message and you can have a catch up later. So I've got my box at the ready here. Now there are bits and pieces that I've taken out of here, but just to get started, I've chosen those elements that we listed. So I've actually taken just separately from my stash, one sheet of A4 white stamping card and a sheet of Nina cardstock. And you can see there's quite a distinct difference there. We've got a difference in weight, so we're going to use the stamping card for construction work, and then the Nina cardstock is going to be for doing the stamping elements. So we're going to make this mat that goes on the back, and then there is enough left if we get time to do some of the stamping and the sentiments on the back. So that's what those two are for. And then my pack of acetate that I was using was just A5 in size, and cutting this down the length, there's enough to use. But as I said, if you've got an A4 piece, that's fine. And then I've chosen, now I've had to do a different colourway for the craft along. I did the original project in blues, so I chose some of the blue card, the pearlescent card and the papers. But as you know, there's a limit amount of each paper in the box. So I'm going to do exactly the same design, but in a purple theme for the colour for the craft along. Joe, I think you've got the blues over there, haven't you? So he's all good to go. So I asked you to bring 3 pieces, or to grab out of your box 3 pieces of that beautiful pearlescent card in your colour choice, and then we need 2 sheets of the plain card. So this has just got a matte finish, slightly thinner. We're just going to use this for matting and layering to build up the layers. And then I've chosen a couple of sheets of the pattern paper. Now one of them needs a nice design on, so in the back here you can see that I've got that lovely ballet couple in the background that we're going to use as part of the design. The other one can be quite plain. It is actually got this on the other side, but we only need these little snippets to make all the mats and layers to cover the pillar. So it doesn't matter if there's not a major design on that one. So that's all the bits of cardstock at the ready. And the first thing that we're going to do, which is what we always do, is start cutting into those mats and layers. So you'll need your big guillotine at the ready. Let me just grab mine off the side here. I'm going to take out the extension piece there, and just make sure that when you've pulled that out, that the little foot is actually, if you look here, there's actually a little foldable element. So just make sure that that's actually engaged so that everything is nice and straight. That's sort of one top tip there, to make sure that this is all straight. Now there are 2 choices with your guillotine. You can actually work, and I'm just going to use this as just a guide. You can work on the top here, which is what I tend to do. Or if you prefer it, you've got the sizes at the bottom. So I know some people like to work along the bottom
Michelle likes to work
and do their cut. There's no difference between the two. It is just pure preference. A lot of people prefer to work down at the bottom because then you're working against, sort of with the cut, whereas at the top some people say, oh well, there's a chance I can knock the card if I'm cutting from the top. But pure preference as to what you want to do. And then the secret is to make sure that your cardstock is actually flush against either this one or the bottom. Now obviously with the bottom you've not got the extension arm at the bottom, so if we're going more than the 6-inch length, then obviously we're better up at the top. So let's have a think then. We're going to cut that piece of stamping card first. So if you make sure you've got the right one, the stamping card is slightly whiter and it's thicker than the Nina, so we want that for the construction. And I'm going to make the card back. So this actually measures 8 inches square in total on the square on the back of the card. All right, so we're going to make the piece that goes in the middle. which is actually sort of part of the construction. And I'm just going to cut that down to an 8-inch square. So on the long side, I'm just going to look at my guide across the top, and I'm going to line this up with the 8-inch mark on here. Make sure that it's all buttered up nicely. Let me just pop this down a wee bit so that you can see there. Make sure that this is nice and straight at the top, and then literally hold the finger guard so that your card's not moving, and it's a nice clean cut. I love that noise it makes. All the scrap card popped to one side for now, and then our card is 8¼ inches, so I'm just going to rotate, and we just need to take that 1/4 inch little sliver off that side there, and that one's scrap. We can get rid of that bit, which leaves us our 8x8 piece, and that's going to be sort of the main part of the structure of the card. So pop that down to one side, and then we're going to carry on cutting for a little while. So the 2 plain pieces of card, the matte finish, not the pearlised ones, whatever you've chosen for your matte finish, these actually measure 8x8, but because we're going to make a matten layer, we need to take a little bit off this, because otherwise it's just going to cover this one completely. All right, so we just need to take this down to 7¾ So I'm literally just taking 1/4 inch off 2 sides. So again, 7¾ along the top, nice and straight. Top tip is to hold that finger guard down, because that's actually sealing that card in place. All right, and then nice little cut one way, rotate, and we're going to take that little 1/4 inch off this side. So 7¾ inches square will give you a nice matten layer now to just leave a little white border around the edge of that piece we've just cut there. All right, and then we're going to do exactly the same with the second piece, because it's actually matted on both sides. We've got a matten layer on the inside of the card, and then we're going to have a matte and that Nina layer on the back of the card for your sentiment. So exactly the same on this one. Making sure everything's nice and straight, 7¾ inches. Okay. And then flip it round 90 degrees and take that 1/4 inch off the other side as well. So those bits are all scrap, and we've got 2 mats now that measure the same at 7¾ Okay, now then, your piece that's got your featured design on for your pattern paper, we're going to cut that piece down next. So let me just have a little look where my pattern piece is there. Right, so this needs to measure 7½ inches tall. So this is going to be the height of our matten layer. But because we've got the pillars on each side, we need it narrower in the middle. All right, and this is where I sort of just took off this nice piece of pattern at this side. So 7½ by 5¾ So I'm literally just going to take this right-hand edge away to leave my ballerina, and then literally cut that piece out of the way. So I've got 5¾ inches. And then because I've got detail at the bottom here, I don't want to lose that. It's plain at the top. So I'm going to turn it this way and just take that little bit off down to 7½ inches. And that way I'm not losing any of my design. So this is going to be the piece. Yeah, that we drop in the back here, okay? So I'm just popping all the paper together for the time being. Any decent sized pieces I always keep in my box so that if I need to come back to them, we might need to use this piece yet anyway. So let's have a little think. We're going to go next with the pearlescent card. All right, so I asked you to pull 3 sheets of your chosen colour in your pearlescent card, and we're going to make the pieces to make these pillars. So we've got 2 tall ones that are the same depth as the card, so these measure 8 inches tall, and then I halved it, and the front ones measure 4 inches. All right, now they're 1 inch wide, so what I've done is I've looked at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, and then I did an overlap, so it's actually 5 inches wide. So the first 2 that we're going to do, take an 8x8 sheet, and I'm just literally going to cut that at 5 inches, and I know that it already measures my 8 inches in height because they were from that 8x8 stock. So this is piece number 1, leaving the 8 inch intact, 5 inches across. And then you're going to have to cut into a second piece to make the second one. So exactly the same, 5 inches. And I will recap all these measurements for you when we've cut them all, so that if anybody's slipped along the way, we can actually do them again. So we've got 2 pieces now, 8 inches in height and 5 inches across. And then we need 2 pieces that measure 4 inches in height and 5 inches across. All right, so now then, let me just think. If we take our piece, our third piece, if you cut it at 5 inches, okay, just like we did for the other 2, take that end piece off, and then rotate it. We've got the 8-inch width here, so we're going to cut this down in half at 4 inches. And that's going to give us our piece then that measures 4 inches tall by 5 inches, which is the same width as the ones that we've just cut. And you need both of those pieces. So the tall ones are going to be our tall pillars at the back, and these are going to be the short pillars. So we'll pop all that to one side. Keep the spare pieces, just in case we need anything for later. And then your last piece of pattern paper, we're going to make quite a few mats and layers for those pillars. So these are just narrow cuts, and we're going to have sort of a pile of the long ones and a little pile of the short ones. So let's have a little look then. For the long ones, we're going to go 7 7/8. So again, because it measures 8 inches, that is just literally a sort of a gnat's eyelash off the edge. So if you have a look at your guillotine, it's got lots of little lines between the inch marks. If I just bring this down a wee bit so that we can get that in shot for you.
So is it sort of between the 2 widgets?
Between the 2 widgets?
Yeah.
Ooh. Right, if you have a look carefully, I'm looking between the 7 and the 8 inches. Your halfway mark's got a slightly longer line, which is your 1/2 inch. And if we come back towards the 7, you've got some shorter marks in there and then some little tiny marks in there. Now, the tiny marks are 1/16 of an inch. If you count those, there are 16 little gaps between the 7 and the 8. The next size are your 8ths. So you will have 8 of those in between that inch space. So I'm literally going to line this up now, and I've come back from the 8, one of the little tiny marks, and onto the second mark. So can we zoom in any closer, Charlotte? See how close we can get on this so that we can just get everybody to, because this is something that I've had questions about in the past. Look at this, fantastic. So you can see that's great, Charlotte, thank you. So the 8 inches here, the little tiny mark is just 1/16 of an inch, and then this one's just a wee bit longer. This is the 8th mark. All right, so I've got my paper lined up with that 8th mark there, and that is 7 7/8. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It just so happens that it's lined up under the 20 centimetres mark. And I'm just going to take the bottom edge, and it really is, I am talking about a fly's eyelash. Yeah, little sliver off that edge, so that's waist. So I've now got I know that this is the right height now, and I took that across the bottom because this is the height that I want to start the pillars. Now, because our pillars are 1 inch wide, I normally go down in 1/4 of an inch increments, but I've only gone 1/8 here, otherwise these pieces would have been very narrow. So I've got a very tiny border along the pillars at the side. So we're looking at 7/8 of an inch. Now, if you're using our guillotine, you can just see that just on this side here, you've got the number 1. And again, it's those 2 little marks back is your 7/8 of an inch mark. All right. So that's our cut line. And we're going to need 6 pieces. All right. 3 for each side. So I'm literally going to line it up. And then, because we've come off the grid lines on the guillotine, I'm just eyeballing this bottom section here so that we're about the same distance from the grid lines as I am at the top. All right, and I'm going to do that 6 times. Make sure that you've turned it so that you took that 7/8 of an inch, that 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. We've got 7 7/8 tall by 7/8 wide, and we need 6 lots of those. So I'm just going to keep repeating this now, just eyeballing that line to make sure that everything's parallel. Holding it down with the finger guard stops your card moving. And we're going to create 6 long pieces off the edge of there. So just keep repeating. Just check that it's all nice and parallel. And we want 6 long pieces. So that's 3.
There's peak concentration going on over here, Jan.
It's not very often our Joe's this quiet.
I mean, I think I'm going to be a bit wonky donkey on these, if I'm honest.
Don't worry, because the bottom half of it doesn't show anyway, so we'll use the straighter bits at the top. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 1 more piece of that length.
Well, actually, they're pretty.
Yeah.
A couple of them are a little bit out.
So don't worry, you know, when you line them all up together, they should be roughly even. But don't worry if you've got little bits that are slightly over. As I say, you're only going to see the top half of these anyway. So 6 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and pop those to one side, okay? And then we need 6 that measure for that short edge. So if you remember, we cut this piece down and we cut it to 4 inches tall. So this time we only want a piece.
Where's that bit come from, Jan?
Sorry?
Oh.
What have you lost, sweetheart?
I've made a mistake.
What have you done, my love?
I've cut those panels out of the paper. Ah, it's that piece there. Sorry, got it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Right,
don't
I'm
cut
following.
that. I was just using this as a guide. You've already cut this piece, so
You already
keep
got
that
that
with
bit,
your
yeah.
cut pieces, yeah.
Excellent.
But what I was saying is the ones that we cut out of the pearlescent, the tall pieces that we've just cut are going to be for those tall sections here. We now need to cut 6 pieces that fit the smaller section.
Okey-doke.
So this measured 4 inches. So we're now going to measure 3 7/8 for this one. All right, so again, I'm going to take this piece that I've got left and I'm going to come to 3 7/8, which is that 2 tiny marks before the 4 here. And I'm cutting mine in half lengthways. Okay. And you'll find that one bit is just a fraction. Can you just see at the bottom here that it's a little tiny wee bit longer? So I'm literally going to take that one down as well to 3 7/8. And then we can use these first of all to continue with that 7/8 of an inch width. So again, I'm just going to line these up where we were cutting before.
And it's the same width, is it? 3/4?
Yep. The 7/8 of an inch, which is that 2 marks before the 1. And I'm going to cut 6 pieces. So I'm going to use what I can out of my scrap, which was left over. So I'm looking at getting 2 pieces out of each one of these. So I'm just eyeballing that grid again to make sure that they're as parallel as they can be. Now the bit that's left over, you can see is too narrow. So that's going on the scrap pile. The second piece, I'm going to do 2 more out of that one. So we need 7/8 of an inch. And as I say, I will recap all these when we've cut them all. So that's 1 and 2 out of this piece. And then I've got a little bit left over that is scrap. So get the scrap pieces out of the way so that you don't get mixed up. And then this was the piece that we cut off that original one here. So I'm going to use the plain side to just cut my last 2 pieces. All right, so I've got 4 out of the scrap that was left. I'm going to take this one down to 3 7/8. Are you still with me, Joe?
Really?
Fabulous.
Oh,
And then-
I wonder, I'm missing one, but it's in the machine still. That's
It's
all right.
in the machine. And then again, you should get your last 2 pieces out of that one. Okay, so there's very little waste paper on this one. We're using every little bit we can. Little bit of scrap. So you should end up now with 6 lots of that 7/8 of an inch by 3 7/8. And these are going to be what we mat and layer onto this one. Okay?
I think I'm
so
just about
what
there.
I'm going to do now is stop with the guillotine and I'm going to go through all those pieces for you. tell a lie, I'm going to cut one more piece. One more, the piece of Nina cardstock now. Okay, we'll do that while we've got the guillotine
Nina
out.
Nana.
The Nina, all right, we're going to cut at 7.5 inches. So again, 7.5, nice and straightforward, back to the normal markings. Take the edge piece off, keep this piece for stamping. We get round to the stamping later. And then rotate and just take that width down to 7.5 as well, okay? And we'll pop that on our pile. So let me recap and show you sort of the structure that we're going to be using, and then we'll have a little break for everybody to catch up. So the main body of the card is going to be that piece of white stamping card, and I'll write them on because I know you guys, if you can take the screenshot, it does help, doesn't it? Let me just, she says write them on. My pencil, oh, it's there, I was going to say my pencil's gone walkabout. So the white piece then was just cut at 8 by 8 inches, okay? So that's your first piece that's going to be the main structure of the card. Then we did the plain cardstock, is going to be your mat and layer. And we did 2 of these that measured 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 of an inch. So I've literally just gone down 1/4 of an inch, which allows me that lovely white border around the edge. All right, and I had 2 of those. We're going to put one on the front and one on the back. So if I pretend this is the reverse part here, all right, then we've just cut that Nina cardstock, which is going to mat on the back on the reverse one. And the Nina was 7.5 inches square. All right, so we'll leave that one on there like that. That's going to stick on the reverse of this one. So you can see that's the actual card back. Then we cut our beautiful piece of patterned paper, which will go down the centre of this one. Okay, and that one measured 7.5, I'll write it here where it's a bit lighter, by 5 3/4 inches. And that's going to fit down the middle here. Okay, can you see that just there okay, yeah? All right, so that's the main structure of the back of the card. And then we had all these spare sort of pearlescent pieces. So the 2 large pearlescent measured 7 7/8 by just 7/8 of an inch times 2. And we're going to do some scoring on these in a second. And then we cut the smaller sections to match, which are going to be the second pillar. And these measured 3 7/8 by the no, I'm telling a fib. Right, rewind a second, because this was the height of this one. So scrub the 7/8. If you did a screenshot there, this was 7 7/8. Let me look, where have we got to? Pillars, I'm telling fibs. Yeah, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Right, reset. The pearlescent card measured 8 by 5. Yep. And the smaller piece measured 4 by 5. So I'll just leave those there for you. So we had 2 of the larger piece and 2 of that smaller piece there. Yeah?
Excellent.
Right, it was the narrow strips now. So these narrow strips measured 7 7/8 by the 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so I'm just looking for, I'm struggling to find it. Let me write that bit on a bit of scrap for you. So here we had 7 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch. So that was the longer one, this one, by 6. We need 6 of those. And then at this side, we had 3 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch. And we cut 6 of those to do the matting and layering on here. So all will become clear when we've scored and folded this to make those pillars, all right? So I hope you've got your screenshots there at the ready. Have all the pieces ready together. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes now to make sure we've got all those bits and it all makes sense to you before we start scoring and sticking any of that together. Okay, Joe?
Fantastic. Any specific questions, anything you need recapping, let me know in the comments. Crafters TV, Crafters Companion, if you are over on Facebook, and I'll do my best to get Jan to answer them for you. I want to share with you these because very, very busy on these at the moment. It is the 2 new items from the Enchanted Dreams. The gilding flakes first. Within here, what you get are the gilding flakes themselves. You get the adhesive and you get the sponge within there too. $6.99 or $8.95 if you want to get that. The other one we've got for you is the chunky glitter. Pammy's dog ate this the other day. Don't let your dog eat it. And what this is a really lovely big pot, by the way. Let me open this up so you can see just how large this pot is. It is absolutely loads, and it is chunky as well. Look at that. Oh, they look like mermaid tears, don't they? Beautiful, look.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I could just sit and stare at that all day. I've got glitter all over me mat now.
I think anything that's got that iridescent colouring in it is just beautiful.
There you go. Oh, it's gone everywhere.
You should have had a bit in your beard, Joe.
Oh, yeah, I could just put a bit in the beard.
Just have a little dab. Yeah, like you're putting your aftershave on.
I don't know if it will stick. I've got some adhesive in the book.
Look at that, little bit of twinkle.
See, I don't know if is it stuck in there?
It's on your jumper. I can see you twinkling now on your jumper.
There you go, look. Has it gone in?
Look at that. We need a bit of sparkle in our life.
No, it's all in my jumper.
I think it's all fell here. Look, no, leave it there. It looks gorgeous.
All right, thanks.
Bit of sparkle.
Anyway, what's I meant to be doing? So the glitter, what I would say is the glitter and the, it is everywhere. The glitter and the gilding flakes, they are new. If you bought the original Enchanted Dreams collection, we didn't actually have these in stock at the time when we launched it, so they are new. If you missed out on them, you can grab that. Don't forget as well, the Swan Lake Box is available for you. Remember what you're getting in there: card blanks, envelopes, coloured card, pearl card, printed papers, embossing folder, stencils, clear acrylic stamps, metal dies, ribbons, feathers, and a pot of iridescent glitter as well.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Pam says, hi from gloomy Gloucestershire. Joe, I'm moving from the Royal County of Berks to the Royal Forest of Dean. Only lives in royal places, our Pam, obviously.
Oh, of course.
To be nearer to the grandchildren for childminding. Too old to keep doing the 4-hour round trip.
Oh, bless her.
Do you ever come up with new card styles, asked Michael Chapman. All the time, Jan, I'd imagine you can't read
I try my best to keep bringing something different to the table, yeah. And sometimes I'm inspired by other crafters, you know, that I watch on YouTube and things like that, and maybe sort of have a little twist to it, or sometimes combining a couple of styles together. But yeah, just sort of always on the lookout for something just that bit different for you guys, yeah.
Pam E says, it was just awful, Joe. Dogs and chunky glitter do not mix.
Oh, no, I can imagine.
So many questions, Pam, but none of them are appropriate. That chunky glitter is gorgeous, says Mary Pat. I had to order it at the moment I saw it. It's also Laura Hernandez's birthday today. Congratulations,
Happy
Laura.
Happy
birthday. Teresa says the zooming Queen Charlotte is on it. She is
on it.
On it like a carb on it. Right, let's go back to Rhonda. See how she's getting on. Rhonda, are you managed to keep up? Are you got all those cuts done?
Got all the cuts done.
Fabulous. Wow, look at you nailing it.
The card.
Fantastic. Yep.
Fabulous. Right. Well, you seem like you're nailing it, Rhonda. We'll come back to you very, very shortly.
We'll see by the end.
Exactly. Right. Any other questions in here? No questions at the moment. So I think we're good to press on. There's definitely going to be a lot of glitter in this card now because it's everywhere.
Right, so what I think we'll do, Joe, just because I'm just conscious that we've got so many bits of paper, we're actually going to stick some of them together to just reduce the amount of pieces that you've got, and then we'll work on those pillars. So I'm going to go back to that piece of 8x8 stamping card that we said was going to be the main base. This is going to be the structure of the card. I'm going to use my Kalal All-Purpose. You can use your double-sided tape pen if you prefer. But you want something that's going to seal these in place. So I'm going to use that matte layer that measured 7 3/4 square and stick that onto the 8x8 piece with just that little 1/4 of an inch border all the way round. So again, just remembering to open. The number of times I've been thinking, why is my glue not coming out? And I've not twisted the cap on the glue. So just take that little cover off there, and I'm going to use this one just so that I can get that little bit of wriggle room, and this is great if you're working with paper and cardstock to avoid getting that wrinkling. If ever you've used a white PVA glue, even our tacky glue, you'll find that sometimes the paper wrinkles and it's really difficult to get those wrinkles out, and that's purely because there is a water content in any PVA glue. And what happens is the water soaks into the fibres of the card, it wrinkles it around the edges, and no matter, I've even tried passing it back through the Gemini, and it will not get rid of those wrinkles in the card, whereas this one is a solvent base.
I like it when it comes out the edge and you can get it on your hand.
That little bit, that mayo effect where it squidges out. Yeah, the beauty of it is this one just rubs away as well. As long as it's not on such as a shiny surface like our Miri card, if you do get any squidge out, just make sure your fingers are clean and give it a rub, and it'll just rub away off the edge. If your fingers are dirty, I've often done it and thought, oh gosh, why is it green? And it's because I've got green ink all over my fingers. Yeah, so just make sure, you know me, I'm always covered in ink, aren't I? So I'm going to leave that one just to dry for a second, and then we're going to also take the one that was exactly the same and the piece of Nina cardstock here, and we're going to do the same again. So we're going to mat and layer the Nina over that piece of, in my case it's the purple one. I know Joe's using the blue. Give us a shout out if any of you have chosen that teal colouring, because that's gorgeous as well. It's let us know which colour you're preferring.
I like the gluing bit, Jan.
You like the gluing bit?
Yeah. I like the gluing bit and the inky bit's the best. And the score, I like the scoring bits as well.
We're going to do a bit of scoring in a minute. I was just conscious that we'd got so many pieces of paper that just by gluing these first ones together will give us less to worry about. So again, make sure that's nice and secure. Now I'm not going to stick it straight. This one is actually going to go on the reverse of that base. But obviously, if we're going to stamp a sentiment on here, I'd prefer to do the stamping first, just in case it goes wrong. And if I've already stuck it to the back of my main project, you're then like, oh, where do I go from there? So I'm going to leave that one separate. So you've got your stamping card with a matte layer on, and you've got that matte layer with the Nina card on. Okay? And then the one that we started off with, which is your stamping card, with your matte layer, that lovely piece of pattern paper now is going to go right in the centre. So if you eyeball each side, you want the same distance at each side here. You can always use the grid on your mat if you're using a glass mat. And then there should be just a little 1/4 of an inch border, top and bottom, to show that plain cardstock. So again, I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to continue with my collal, and I'm going to stick this one down as well so that we've got all those pieces secure. So again, just a little bit of glue. Less is more with your glue. You don't need masses of it. But again, you can literally plop it in the middle there, and then you can wiggle it into place. And as I say, just eyeball here that these are roughly the same distance. As I say, if you've got your glass mat there, you can actually judge using the grid marks on your glass mat whether it's in the centre. And you should have a 1/4 of an inch showing at the top and a 1/4 of an inch of that purple showing at the bottom. And then once you're happy with that, give that one a nice press down, and then we'll leave those to dry. So that's the main piece that's going to go in the back.
I think I'm struggling judging where the halfway is, Jan. I'm doing it by eye mostly, I think.
Yeah, just give it, as I say, as long as it's a rough, you know, that you've not got like 2 inches showing at one side and 1/4 of an inch at the other side, because those pillars are going to stick down each side, and those are 1 inch wide. So you basically, from the outside edge of your card, you should have just over 1 inch at each side. And then we'll leave those to one side to dry. So that was fairly straightforward. And then we're going to bring in the scoring board. So whether you've got your top score or the big score, they both do the same job. I have both of them, so it depends what size I'm working on. If I've got a large piece of card, I'll get my big score out.
Oh, I've got the big one, Jan.
Yeah, if it's just a smaller piece, I'm going to use my top score on the inches side. Okay. And I'm going to first of all take those 2 pieces that measured 8 by 5. Okay. And we're going to work on this left-hand side here. So I want the edge, the long edge of my card up against that ridge on the left-hand side of the board, but just leave your lines visible at the top so that you can see them. And we're literally going to score at every inch. So making sure that this stays nice and flat against the edge. So I've got quite a bit of pressure on there with my left hand because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to use the score tool in my right hand. If you're left-handed, the best tip I can give you is to turn your board the other way round so that you can literally do the scoring this side. Okay, you can still anchor it and you can do your scoring with your left hand. Alternatively, you can bring it lower down and use the scores, but these at the bottom, if you remember, are not an exact measurement. So stay with the top there, and I'm literally going to score at 1 inch, nice and gentle, but more than once. If you go in really definite with your score tool on your first score, there's a chance that you could crack the cardstock. So again, nice and gentle, but maybe 2 or 3 score lines, and then at 2 inches, again, all the way down, nice and gentle, building up that score line. At 3 inches, same again, and then at 4 inches. Okay, and we're going to do that on both of your tall pieces. So again, make sure it's imperative that this is against that ridge at the left hand side. Hold it nice and secure. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and 4 inches. So you should have created 5 1-inch panels there. You can just see the score lines. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. And then if you bring in the shorter ones of your pearlescent card, we're going to do exactly the same. So you want the long edge across your board and the short edge on the left hand side against the ridge there. And again, 1 inch, 2 inches, oops, 3, 4. So you're creating exactly the same format as what we had on the tall one. We've just got half the height. And on the second piece, exactly the same. Make sure it's up against that edge there. Hold it tight. 1 inch, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's all our scoring done. We can pop the scoreboard to one side then. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to bring in is my bone folder. So however, whatever you choose for burnishing the score lines. And on the first piece, all those vertical lines want folding and burnishing. So I tend to do all those folds first, and all I do is just turn it up and run my fingers across the inside so that I've got a fold on all 4 of those lines. And then fold it properly and just make sure that your edges line up here nicely, and then burnish that line in with your bone folder. And again, take it to your second one. Whoops. And again, just make sure that it's nice and straight at the bottom, and just secure those lines in. So if you're doing anything construction wise, this is quite an important one to do, because it just teaches that cardstock that you want a nice crisp fold on there. And then I'm going to do the same with the rest of the folds, just each time making sure that you've got a nice fold at the bottom and that it's not wonky. Okay, burnish it in, and then the last one, burnish that one in. So what's going to happen is we've got an overlap of 1 inch on the back, and when those two are going to be stuck together, you can see there that we've created our pillar that is 1 inch all the way round. Okay, and that's where we've got those long pieces of paper that are going to decorate this one. So yep, we're going to do exactly the same. I'm going to let you work your way through that and do the same on the other tall piece and the same on the 2 short pieces. Amazing. All right, so just a little bit of folding and burnishing, Joe, and then we're ready for the next section. Yeah.
What's the flat tab on the red glue tip for us, Geraldine?
Yeah, there's 2 different types of the glue actually. There's 2 different lids. Some of them come with a red lid that's plain. like your tacky glue's got the blue one on. Sometimes you'll get a bottle that's got the plain lid on like this. These ones that have got the little flat edge, it's actually a glue spreader. So if you've got too much glue, you can literally spread it out with the flat edge. So if for any reason it really blobs a large bit out near the edge of it, just use the flat edge. You know, like when we used to be at school and you had the proper little glue spreaders. It's just for that purpose, Joe.
Oh, excellent. Brilliant.
Okay.
Amazing. Right. We're going to have a little quick break, allow you some time to get yourself caught up. So whilst you do that, here's all the details of Club Inspire.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the crafters' companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% of your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every pound, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash. Draw, decorate, and customize your world with the colorful Spectrum Noir acrylic paint markers. Each premium paint marker gives opaque coverage on ceramic, glass, wood, and let's not forget paper, cardstock, and canvas. These versatile markers are filled with highly pigmented premium water-based paint, offering beautiful, rich, and smooth coverage. The colors can be blended together and the fast-drying opaque paint is ideal for layering. A 3mm bullet tip offers smooth strokes and a precision valve mechanism allows rich and consistent flow with no clogging. Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash.
We've had to make some changes to our shipping charges and we want to keep you informed. With continued pressure on domestic shipments around mainland US, we've had to temporarily increase the cost of our regular 6 to 10 working day standard shipping service from $9.99 to $12.95 and our free shipping threshold from $100 to $125. We also have some really great news to tell you. We've introduced a brand new shipping service called Express Delivery. This is a fully tracked door-to-door service which takes 3 to 7 working days and costs $19.95. This option means you'll get your crafty goodies in your hands sooner, meaning less waiting and more crafting. We're also upgrading delivery services for our Gold and Platinum Club Inspire members who will now receive priority delivery on all of their orders. And if that wasn't enough, we've upgraded these orders to our new Express 3 to 7 day service. Your patience and understanding throughout this very busy time has been amazing. So we'd just like to say a huge thank you and we look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
All the details out of Club Inspire and also your shipping, which is brilliant. Can this be mailed once it's flattened? Asked Anita Vasquez.
Yep, absolutely. So once we've actually got all that structure together, even though it looks as if it's, you know, sort of got quite a bit of bulk, it will literally all fold down flat.
Amazing.
All right. I would perhaps make an envelope box for it that's just maybe got like a little tiny bit of depth in it. But yeah, there's no reason why it can't be mailed flat. It measures 9 inches by 8. So it's not a standard size as far as an envelope's concerned, but you should be able to make a little box for it to go in. Okay.
Amazing. Right. Sandra said a yodel delivery in the break. That was nice.
Oh, that was good timing of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, from Hunky Dory. That was very, very nice. But I think if you're all right, I think everyone else is pretty much ready to push on, Jan.
Right. So what I'm going to do now then is let me just pop that to one side for a second. Whoops. And explain why I've just fetched it back out. So if you look at your pieces now, we should have got them all folded ready. and burnished on those lines. Those are 1 inch lines, yeah?
Excellent.
So we'll start with one of the tall ones. So what we're going to do is, obviously we want to make it into a cube, and we've got 5 sides. So we're literally going to overlap one of the sides. Now have a look at your pieces and see what they look like. I can see that mine's slightly wonky.
Yeah, I've got one, but if it slots one way with mine, it's much better than if I slot it the other way.
Anything like this, where you're overlapping a piece of card, it might be the base of the card that you're making, so your structure of your card base, it might be something like this, it might be box making. Wherever you've got that overlap like that, the reason that it's pushing it is because this edge here is going inside and touching the score line. So what I like to do is just bring my guillotine back in, and on one of the long edges, it doesn't matter which one for now, one of the long edges, you are literally going to take, remember we talked about these markings earlier, I'm just going to go one mark, which is a 1/16 of an inch. It's hardly anything at all, and just take literally the tiniest little sliver, and then if you have got a pencil handy, on the inside just mark that that was the edge that you cut. And I'm going to do that on all 4 pieces. So again, the other tall one in, just bring it doesn't have to be exact on that mark, you are literally just taking the equivalent of your score line off that edge, and I always mark which edge I've taken it off so that I know which one's going to go on the inside. The same with the 2 shorter pieces, just literally one tiny little sliver off each edge on one of those sides, so you're cutting parallel with your score lines. Yep, and then on the back of it just mark which one you've taken the edge off. And then what you'll find then is when you fold that one back on the inside now, so I'm going to go back to the larger pieces first. This is the one that I've just cut here. I'm going to put that one underneath the other one, and you'll find that you get a much neater finish because that little sliver that we took away has allowed it to fold in nicely and not get in the way of that score line. We've effectively cut that little sliver is the width of the score line that it was butting up against here.
Perfect.
All right. So just before we get cracking with that, we're actually going to start sticking together. Now, choices for this one. I went to my red line tape now because when we're constructing anything like this, I do prefer the red line tape for it. So literally on the opposite edge, remember the one that you've just cut is going to go on the inside. So on this one here, we're going to put tape. So it's up to you whether you put 1 piece or 2 piece. I don't like anything to escape, so I'm going to put a line down the outside edge, like so. And just snip that level with the edge of the cardstock. And then I'm also going to put a piece just to this side. So make sure you're not sticking it on the score line, to just run it parallel down that edge, and then trim your red line tape. And then give your tape a nice burnish so that you get rid of all the air bubbles. And you should then be able to lift the red line off without any trouble. And then if you fold the one that we cut, so I've got my little arrow here, fold that one in. And then this one's going to fold 2 sections over, and you should find that that will all line up on this edge nicely here. So just pop it together, make sure that your top and your bottom are straight, and then once you're happy with it, secure it with that bone folder and then fold it back on itself the other way so that we can get those lines in this way as well. So it should fold backwards and forwards on those crease lines, whichever way you fold it.
I think I need to chill out. I just realised I'm grinding my teeth, Jan.
Oh no!
I think I need to relax a bit, don't you?
So it wants to be...
I've got really stiff and tense all of a sudden. I think it's the red liner tape.
Oh no!
Honestly,
Oh dear. All right, so you should be able to literally squish it and fold it flat. Whichever score line you choose, it should fold flat, and that's what allows it to fold flat when we've done the final stick together. So you've created that tube in a cube shape. I've got my seal is going to be at the back. We're going to stick the seal down onto the card, but just make sure that it folds all the way around. On any of the lines, you should be able to press it flat. And we're going to do that for all 4 pieces. Just remember that your tape wants to go on the opposite side to the one that we marked that we'd cut. So again, I'm going to do those long pieces, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the short pieces to make those 4 pillars.
Jan, I don't think I've been as precise as you. I'm going to be honest. I've just kind of I've just kind of gone with my intuition a little bit.
And just, have you got the pillar?
Yeah, I've got them. They're made and they're flat. They work.
That's fine.
But I think I wrapped my
short bit over your long bit.
I didn't make a shorter bit, but I think I've wrapped that bit on the outside rather than putting it on the inside.
Don't worry.
Just, give the laziest man the hardest job and you'll find the easiest way of doing it.
I'm literally going to go into production line work now. I'm going to put all the tape on first. So I'm doing exactly the same on those shorter pieces. So on the edge opposite the one that we cut, so this is my little arrow here. I've put the tape on this side, and then again on that last one. And I find it quicker to work this way. If you're doing anything that's repetitive, rather than literally making one up and then doing the next one and making that up and then doing the next one, I find it easier to sort of repeat all the stages. So we're going to do all the tape first, and then we'll do all the sticking second. So that's my tape on them. And as I say, the secret with the tape is to burnish that red line down. Really give it a good press to get rid of all the air bubbles, and honestly it makes it so much easier. How do you stop it
sticking to you though? Because honestly the carrier, it loves me.
Does it?
Yeah, it sticks to me like nothing.
Because you're so lovable, Joe. I'm told, I haven't tried it, but I'm told if you get a piece of kitchen paper, Joe, and use that,
it'll stick to it.
It will stick to the kitchen paper rather than you. Do you want that piece there?
Yeah, let's see.
And then you can collect it on there. So again, I'm folding one side in and 2 sides in, just to line up, and you want to make sure that this is as straight as it can be along that edge. And then once you're happy, give it a burnish to get that tape in place. And then
it loves a kitchen towel. Yeah, you're right.
Fold it back on itself and just keep burnishing all those lines until you've squished it pretty much any way possible. So you're making sure that the whole thing, no matter which way you fold it, it's going to fold flat. All right? That's really important for being able to fold the card flat when we're finished. And then again, I'm going to do the same. Give that line a burnish with the bone folder. Okay. If you haven't got a bone folder, you can use the back of your tweezers, you can use the handle on your scissors. Yeah, whatever it is, just to press it and get rid of the air bubbles, and then you should find that red line comes straight off. All right, so again, 1, 2, and then remembering to pop the little one that we cut onto the inside, and the other one goes along that outside edge. Burnish that tape in place, squash it flat the other way, and make sure that it all folds.
Crystal says crafting is meant to be relaxing, Joe.
And then the last one, same again, I'm just going to line up those edges, make sure that it's all nice and flat, give that tape a burnish to help it stick, and then squish it the other way, and we've got our 4 pillars there. So what's going to happen with these, we're going to take that backing, and eventually these are going to stick into the gaps here, like so. So we've got the long one first, and then the short one. But we're going to trap some acetate in here to build up our scene. Amazing. So again, I'll just give everybody a second to get caught up, Joe.
Absolutely.
Make sure we're all at the same bit.
Are we using solid coloured cardstock, pearlescent patterned, and Nina? Sorry, I'm lost, says Beth.
Oh, right. Which bit are you lost at?
Let me know, Beth. Where are you struggling?
Yeah,
so
we can go recap it again.
Should we have a quick recap?
Yeah, do you want me to recap again? All right, so We started off then with the piece of 8x8 stamping card. That's going to be the basis, that's going to be like the middle of the back of the card. And then we used the plain cardstock, so not the pearlescent, to make our card mats. And they just went down 1/4 inch to 7 3/4 squared, and we cut 2 of those, exactly the same. And then the Nina cardstock was to make the layer that goes on the back that we're going to stamp our sentiment, because there's nowhere to write at the front. I've literally put that piece on the back so that you can write a message to whoever you're sending this to on the back. And again, it will fold flat for you to be able to write on there. All right, so the Nina cardstock was cut at 7.5 inches, again to just leave that 1/4 inch increment all the way round. And we've left that one separate for the time being so that if we get time we can stamp on there. But eventually this one's going to mat and layer on the reverse of the card blank in effect. Yeah?
Excellent.
So I've just left that to one side. So we've got stamping card base, matte cardstock, mats and layers twice, the Nina cardstock for our reverse for our stamp, and then the pearlescent card, because this is the bit that we're going to see at the front of the card, we've used the pearlescent card to make those pieces for the pillars. If I stand this up, you can see we've got that construction going with the 2 pillars at the front.
Excellent.
All right, so if you have got lost in any way at all, then a couple of options, you know, you can sort of rewind once we've finished, you can rewind and you can watch the show again. And I sort of wrote all the measurements down for you to screenshot so that you've got a record of that. Or if you want to keep going along with us, that, you know, there's plenty of opportunities to catch up because we keep having a little break. I do not want to leave anybody behind. That's not how we operate.
Nope.
That's not what the Craft Along's about.
Any questions? Any more questions? You've got Crafters TV on Facebook. Oh, she's got it now. It's a bit she missed.
Yeah,
you recapped
fantastic.
it. Crafters
Well
TV on Facebook. Crafters Mahane over on YouTube. Now we've put together a water reactive ink pad bundle, which will go beautifully with the Swan Lake collection. So there's a set of 9 of these. Let me run through the different colours that you're going to get. Misty Morning.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? That was the question that cost Jan the win today. Also Smoked Emerald there. This one is your green topaz. You will get frosty jade, pine tree, and then you've got the damson wine, pale fig, the lagoon, and the parakeet as well, which is that one just there. £35, $50. Let's go and see how Rhonda's getting on. How you doing, Rhonda? I can see she's busy beavering away there.
I've got everything ready.
Oh, fantastic. Yep.
All my little cubes.
She's got all her pillars ready.
Cute.
Yep. Excellent.
Got all my pillars. I'm just inking the edges of my paper because I like doing that.
I would do that at home, Rhonda. I'm a big fan of inking edges, but it's another stage that obviously takes up time when we're doing the Craft Along. So feel free. I think
you got a visitor, Rhonda.
I think it makes a world of difference.
Tell him to come in. Who is it? Who is
Hi,
it?
honey.
No.
Well, that's my husband and my cat.
Oh, I'm going to have to see them properly now. Bring them in to say hello.
Little kitty cats.
Come in.
It's got all
Come
shy
in
now.
here, Mr. Shy Man.
Oh, I'm waving like you can see me. I don't know if you can see me. Nice
Here's
to meet you, Mr. Rhonda.
Little helper, look.
That's my shadow.
Oh, bless.
Cute. Adorable.
That's the Acetate to Craft Alongs.
Basset cat. I love that. I love that indeed. Right, we'll drop in on you real soon, Rhonda.
All right.
See you soon. Hilarious. Love that. Love Rhonda. Right, let's see and just double check anyone else. You can tell Joe's concentrating. He's really quiet today. Honestly, Charlotte is so happy for the rest, to be honest.
Challenging him.
She's just glad that I'm not annoying for this show for a change. Have we been annoying this show, Charlotte? Always annoying.
Always.
Apparently. I don't think I've been very annoying at all. Right, we've still got an hour, don't you worry.
We're doing great, actually.
We are.
We're doing great.
Okay.
We might actually have time to do some stamping as well. I was a bit worried about how much we were going to be able to fit in. So what we'll do then is we'll continue with construction. So before we pop the pillars in place, we need to cut those pieces of acetate. I don't know if you can pick them up here. Just see them in the light. There's actually a couple of strips of acetate trapped between the pillars to give us that stage for our theatre to pop the little little stamped images on. You can just see there, look, where there's the two pieces. There's one runs along the front of the first tall pillars, and then there's one runs along the smaller pillars before we put that last matten layer on the front. All right, so I'm just going to pop everything to one side and bring the guillotine back in, and we'll just cut that acetate down to size.
I don't know if I've got a carrier sheet on this acetate or not.
It's usually,
I think I don't know if I do. I've been sitting for a couple of minutes trying to work it out.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's usually got a frosty appearance if it's got a cover on it.
I think we're all right, Jan.
Yeah, if it looks clear, I would say 90% of the time there's no sheet on it. If it's frosted, then yes, you'll usually find. And what I do is just in a corner where it's not going to be seen, I use my pokey tool and just give a little scratch in the corner on both sides. And if there is any carrier sheet on it, it'll normally lift it. But I'm fairly certain mine hasn't. Okay. So I've got a piece of A5 acetate. So this is the width of A4, but it's only A5 in height. Now I want that A4 width, because we're literally going to go from one side to the other. All right, so first of all, I'm going to cut that down to 8 inches. My piece measures just slightly over, so I'm going to use the 8-inch mark again on my guillotine. Oh, I keep pointing to that and it's just out of shot there, look. So just on the 8-inch mark, and this is just slightly longer. All right, and then I'm going to bring it in just that 1/8 of an inch again. So we're literally 2 little marks on the inside of the 8 at 7 7/8, and I'm just going to take that edge off that side. Okay, so now it's just slightly smaller than the whole card, because the last thing you want is a bit of acetate poking out of the edge there. All right,
smaller than the whole back side of the card?
Yes, by 1/8 of an inch,
but slightly bigger than the matte layer, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Okay.
So then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it onto the short side.
Yep.
Pop it in the guillotine, and I'm going to cut mine at 3.5 inches down that vertical. Okay, so I've cut it into 2 pieces, 3.5 for the longer one, and then it leaves approximately 2.25 inches, which is going to be the layer that we put in front.
So 2 times, and I'm cutting it twice, both at 3.5.
No, you're only cutting it. Oh, yes, you've got a longer piece, Joe, haven't you?
Yeah.
So your second piece wants to be 2.25. If you're using a piece of A4,
so I want a 3.5, and a 2.25
inch and a 2.25. So your front piece is slightly smaller than the first piece.
Excellent.
Yep. Okay. And then we can pop the guillotine away again then. I will, absolutely, yep. So in width, because our card blank measured 8 inches, I've just cut it slightly short of 8 inches so that we don't risk anything sneaking out of the sides. So along the length, I've cut it at 7 7/8 of an inch. So this was just 2 marks to the right hand side of the 8-inch mark here at 7 7/8. So that's the long length. And then rotated, and I want one piece that measures 3.5 inches. Let's bring you that over a little bit there. So this one's 3.5 inches deep. And your second piece is the same width, but 2.25 inches deep. So if you're using a piece of A5, I just made the one cut at 3.5 inches, and this was the default size of what was left. Joe had a piece of A4, so he's made a cut at 3.5, and then this one is 2.25 across the depth here. All right, so you've ended up with one piece that's going to go at the back and a slightly shorter piece to create that offset. It's the worst thing ever to see, isn't it, on camera? Just see if we can see it on the white card there. That's better, look. So you've got one that's 3.5, and then this one's shorter. So the one behind it's going to be a wee bit longer to create that kind of staged effect. Okay?
Lynn Harvey would like Charlotte to know that I am never annoying. That's not what I said, that's what Lynn said. Put tape on the corner of the acetate and pull it if there's a film, it will come off. Good idea.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just looking at mine now. It does look a bit cloudy under these lights, but I tried for ages at home and there was nothing came off it, so I'm going to go with it as it is. Right, so let's have a think. Next job. Right, we're going to take the 2 long tubes, all right, and we're going to start and add some pieces of the paper on here. So I asked you to cut 6 pieces, and we need 3 for each side. Now, there's not really a lot of continuation. I can see there, looking at my cardstock there, that this was cut from one piece because there's continuation in pattern. So you've got options. You can either use that, we're going to go around 3 sides of the pillar because the side that's sticking to the card doesn't need anything on it. Or what I did was look and think, right, I want the 2 nicest pieces are going to show at the front, and it's only going to be the top section of this one that shows. So if you've got something that's got a, you know, a nice sort of image, so I've got a piece of feather on the top of that one, and I've got a nice piece of feather on that one. So I'm going to go with those 2 as my front pieces. Now, when I say front, I want you to have a look where the seal was on the back, where you stuck it together.
I keep thinking about seal every time you say that.
Now, I've got a little tiny bit of overlap there, so I'm just going to use my scissors.
I've got a little bit of overlap, but on the tops, Jan, not on the sides.
On the tops? Yeah, just neaten it up with your scissors. If you've got anything that's sort of just hanging out where it shouldn't be, just trim it with the scissors. The last thing we want is an overhang.
Oh, well, I wish I could trim the other one off with a pair of scissors.
But where I've put that join at the back, where the 2 pieces of card are stuck together at the back, that's the bit that I'm going to stick onto the card base. So with my pencil again, I'm just going to put a cross on the back of it. And that's the bit that's going to attach to the card. So again, by default, the opposite side becomes the front. Does that make sense?
It does indeed.
And then I'm going to check the other one. Look at where I've got the double layer of card, which is that side. And again, I've got the join on the inside of the card. Yep, so I'm going to write my cross on that one. And again, that's going to make this piece the front. All right? So again, depending on your choice, whether you want to stick with your Collal all-purpose glue, whether you want to continue if you're using a tape pen, or whether you want to continue with the red line tape, it is entirely up to you how you pop these on. All right, I think just for speed, and I'm always flitting about with the glues, I'm going to use my tape runner for these. So on the back of those long strips, I'm just going to run a line of double-sided tape, and don't forget to flick that pen when you get to the end. So again, just down the edges there.
I went with a wet glue just because I didn't trust myself to get that stick first time, Jan.
That's okay. As I say, it's just choice. Everybody, you know, you'll speak to lots of different people and they'll all have sort of favourites as far as glue's concerned. And then there is the tiniest board around this now. So again, I'm just going to eyeball the bottom edge and literally lay this on top. And when I'm happy with it, you can squish it flat and give that a nice rub in place. So I'm going to do both of the front pieces first so that I don't get those mixed up. So again, I'm going to take the other one, turn it over, run my tape runner down each of those long edges. Okay. And then get that one stuck on the front so that I know which one's which. So again, I've got my fold to the inside. So that's going to be my front section. And again, just lay it on. And then once you're happy with it, you can squash it. And the double-sided tape in the tape runners, if you give it a little bit of a rub down like so, that heat from your fingers will just set that adhesive in place and it's not going anywhere once you've got that on there. And then again, the rest of them, we're just going to decorate the two sides. So where you've put the cross, we don't need any paper on. So again, it's entirely up to you which ones you see. You're not going to see those inside ones very much because they're literally in here. So it may be that if you've got any nice pieces left, that you pop those on the outside, but it doesn't really matter. As long as we've got a piece on each of those 3 sides, it does. I just get very pedantic when it gets to things like this. I'm a bit OCD. And I just think, oh, that's a nice bit. I'll be able to see that. I'll put that on that side. But don't get too worried about where things are going. If you're like me and you've got a bit of OCD, you'll understand where I'm coming from. If you haven't, you'll think, gosh, why is she fussing so much about the paper?
Yeah, I do think, Jan, I mean, I'm a bit wing it compared to yours.
Yeah.
I know you're very meticulous and you're...
I am, and as I say, the OCD
methodical,
kicks in. And
whereas I'm like, oh, if that's a bit long, I'll just chop a bit off that with scissors afterwards. Yeah, I'm a bit slapdash in compared to you. Am I decorating the big ones and the small ones, Jan?
Yeah, we're going to do exactly the same. So find that reverse part where the join is, pop your cross on the back of it again to remind you, and then decorate the 3 sides with the shorter pieces. He's in front of me, look, he's a good student.
Well, you say that at the end when it doesn't fall flat. You won't be saying that.
I say, well, you shouldn't have gone along in front.
I know.
But no, it is very repetitive, and that's what I like about these designs. You know, you've got a nice finished card that's a bit different, but the process in here, you know, we're repeating a lot of the things to get to that process. So I've got one outside, one front, and then this one's just going to go on here. And again, once it's in place, press it flat so that you can rub that down and get it nice and secure. So that's my first one done, and I've still got the cross on the back there, which is going to stick to the card. And then we're going to bring this one in. I'm just going to have a look what I've got. Yep, we're going to go with that one. And again, nice bit of adhesive on there. And get those stuck down.
Lots of you, I think Joe's card will be amazing. I think Joe's card will be amazing as he's reading the comments too. I'm not really reading the comments, to be honest. No, I'm joking. I am. There aren't many comments.
I just think these
I've
guys...
got Johnny helping me out with the comments, to be fair.
Yeah, but I just think, you know, I'm just standing here crafting, Joe. I always think this when you guys craft along. I've said the same when I've been doing it with Ben. You know, it's a talent to be able to do this whilst you're doing your own job presenting as well.
Yeah, some would argue that maybe the original job isn't that hard if we can do the crafting as well.
I have total respect, Joe, because I'm not so good at doing both. I must admit, I'm all right with this side of things.
Years of practice, Jan, that's what it is.
So again, we've got that last one there that's going to go. So that was my back, so that one's going to go on this side. So just make sure that if you've got that little cross on there, that one stays blank. So again, we've got that one. So that's my 2 larger pillars at the ready.
Oh.
Okay.
Got a bit of seepage.
So they're going to fit, whoops, on here in the gaps.
I wonder whether there was purple juice coming out of me, Matt and Leia.
There's
what?
I've
got purple, there was like purple juice coming out of me, Matt and Leia, because I've got purple ink on the end of me bone fold, and I squished it, my ink came out, come out as purple juice on me.
Purple juice.
On me, purple glue juice on me counter.
You, Joe.
Look,
honestly,
can you see it?
Only you. Purple juice.
Yeah, purple glue juice everywhere.
So again, I've just got a little bit of overhang on that shorter one, so I'm just going to trim that with my scissors to make life easier when we come to stick it down. And again, I'm going to find that back one that's double. I'm going to do the same process with the cross on there. Same with that one, that's gone together nicely. That's the double part, cross on there. And I'm going to do exactly the same now with those shorter pieces. So I'm just going to have a look at them, see which ones I want on the front. I've got quite a few pieces with feathers, so those 2 are plain, they can go on the inside, and then we can do these ones on the front. So exactly the same, whoops, and then get those all lined up ready. So that's going to be my front.
Anita's making this card with a beautiful collection.
Fantastic.
I wish you could get extra pads for the collection. I mean, it's the nature of the beast with these that they do only come included.
Yeah.
Donna says, hi, Jan and Joe from San Antonio, Texas. It's 36 degrees Fahrenheit here, and that's gold to us Southerners. Love your teaching, Jan. I think in San Antonio they're saying it's lovely that it's cold, whereas we're the opposite, aren't we?
I don't like it too hot. I'm not a real sun
Do you
worshipper.
not mind it cold? Would you rather it be very cold
and I don't
than very
like
warm?
it too cold.
You're a bit
so
of a
I'm sort of
Goldilocks,
like
aren't you?
spring and autumn temperatures, yeah. I like it somewhere in the middle, I must admit,
Sort of
where it's
about
not too
14
much.
degrees?
What, in Celsius?
Yeah.
No, I could cope with about 20.
Oh, okay.
But when it gets like last summer, we had those really hot days where it was up like 26 and that.
Oh, I live for those days.
Too much.
I could have it like that every day,
Yeah,
please.
it's too much, especially when you're working in it as well. And the studio got very warm here, didn't it? Where we were all like, oh gosh, we need the fans on. All right, so I'm just going to work my way through, get the fans on. It was like the old TV show, wasn't it? Fans are on, contender,
Start the
ready.
fans.
That's the one. So last few there, just to get those pieces. Are you all done, Joe?
With the sticking down of the panels, yes.
Johnny's sticking down, honestly. It's
Yeah,
like a,
I mean, there's glue everywhere,
whizzing
and
through
none of
them.
the panels are really that even, but I mean, I've done it. I have to get ahead so I can read the comments and do the other bits. That's why I whiz
you.
through. That's why I'm so
Behind your
tense.
teeth now.
We need purple glue in honour of Crafters Companion, says Gilmore.
That would be brilliant,
Great
wouldn't
idea.
it?
Would it show up though on your cardstock if you're using light colours maybe?
That would be fab.
Sorry?
Yes.
Purple glue that dries
You
clear.
can get blue glue that dries clear. So why? Oh, we need to get that into our Leanne, don't we?
We do.
Purple glue that dries clear. That would be awesome,
Where does
wouldn't
the
it?
colour go if it dries clear? That's the bit I don't understand.
I don't know.
Does it evaporate? Is that the part that
Science.
evaporates?
Science, isn't
I
it?
don't need to know, Charlotte says.
So again, last couple. I'm just going to put my tape on both. Oh, don't stick it to the mat, Jan. That's where. Tape on those two ready. And again, those last two pieces in place.
I haven't made much mess today, Jan. You're
Good.
pleased to know.
Yeah, we've not done a lot of die cutting
No,
and things
tidy
like that. With it
crafty
being the signature box, we've not done a massive amount of die cutting and things. We're going to have time, hopefully, to do a little bit of the stamping, though, which is good. I wasn't sure whether we'd
Can't
run out
decide,
of time.
Jan, if after this show I'm going to be good, go around to the supermarket and get something healthy, or be bad and go to the drive-through. I haven't made my mind up, and I've been questioning myself over it for the last 40 minutes. What do you think at home? Healthy or golden arches?
Well, I've actually brought something with me, so I really should stick with
Right.
that. But I'm very easily persuaded
Are
when
you?
people start talking about buying
Open to
takeaway.
persuasion. Honestly, it's like it's every night with it on the other shift. Yeah, there's it's Chinese pizza.
Oh, I know.
sometimes.
I know, I've
It's
been here and I
I'm
fell
so,
foul
I'm so
of it.
easily led. So easily led.
Yeah.
Fried chicken, delicious.
So once we've got all those pieces done, and the only blank ones I've got are the pieces where I put the crosses.
Just bare bottoms then.
And they're going to be the bits that stick down to the card, yeah. So I'm coming back to the acetate now, which, as I say,
Okey-doke.
the worst thing ever to see. Let's pop
Mine's
this
covered in
underneath.
glitter, so I'm alright. You can see mine.
And I'm just going to take my very thin red line tape this time. So I was originally on the panels, I was using the 6mm. This one's the 3mm one. And on each end... Excuse me.
You okay, Jan?
I'm
Got some
all right.
water?
I'm okay, thank you. So on each of the short ends, I'm just going to run, and it doesn't
Is
really...
that the shorter piece or the wider
on
piece you've got
both
there?
of them. We're going
Okay.
to do both of them, Joe. On the short sides, we want a little bit of the thin red line tape. So this is the first one, the longer one, the deeper one. Again, just down those short edges. And the same on that shorter piece, all right? So again, make sure you've got the long length going across and the tape is going on the short edges there. All right, and I've just used the thin one on the edges of those. So on each end, and then we're going to get these stuck in place while we stick the pillars down, because these are trapped between the pillars.
Awesome.
So we've got that ready now. So again, I'm just going to give a minute or two for everybody to get the papers stuck
Yeah.
on and get these two pieces of acetate.
Fair bit of info there. So
At the ready,
I think you need recapped. You've got an option
Yeah,
to
if
let
there's
me know.
any
I'm just
questions,
having
if
a
you
good
want
old
anything
burnish.
recapping, let us know.
Joe, you're looking good. Go for healthy. Drive-through or some sort of takeaway, says Penguin.
Oh.
Healthy, says Beth. I'm going to have a Subway, says Sam McDonald. Drive-through for Caroline. Chinese takeaway.
Oh.
And Beth's with me. She says the warmer the better. I don't know why I stay in Minnesota. I'm guessing it's pretty chilly there. Right, let's give you an opportunity to check up. Let's share with you all the details of US delivery. Take a look.
We've had to make some changes to our shipping charges and we want to keep you informed. With continued pressure on domestic shipments around mainland US, we've had to temporarily increase the cost of our regular 6 to 10 working day standard shipping service from $9.99 to $12.95 and our free shipping threshold from $100 to $125. We also have some really great news to tell you. We've introduced a brand new shipping service called Express Delivery. This is a fully tracked door-to-door service which takes 3 to 7 working days and costs $19.95. This option means you'll get your crafty goodies in your hands sooner, meaning less waiting and more crafting. We're also upgrading delivery services for our Gold and Platinum Club Inspire members who will now receive priority delivery on all of their orders. And if that wasn't enough, we've upgraded these orders to our new Express 3 to 7 day service. Your patience and understanding throughout this very busy time has been amazing. So we'd just like to say a huge thank you and we look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
Quick Buy, all your crafty must-haves in a flash.
Make light work of intricate and delicate die-cutting designs with the Pokey Tool from Crafter's Companion. An absolute essential part of any paper crafter's kit, its precise tip has been designed to release the tiniest pieces to reveal your finished results with absolute precision. And to make sure your finished project is perfect, each Pokey Tool has a rubber tip protector, so there's no risk of damaging your die-cutting design or yourself. The Crafter's Companion Pokey Tool is such an essential craft item, we've included 2 in each set.
Quick Buy, get yours now. Welcome to Crafters TV. With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products with live tutorials and demonstrations. Join our family of craft experts where fun happens every day.
Quiet. The neighbours.
I'm all out of Zoom. I'm so lost without you. I'm not singing.
Lisa, if you email in, don't send a picture of your air fryer. Make sure it's something creative.
Get creative and craft along. With our amazing deals, your next craft project is just a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week, or you can watch us on Catch Up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook, or our YouTube channels. You can chat to us, craft along, and meet new friends by joining our online crafting community.
You entertain us, you give us a community to talk, in the chat. That wouldn't happen without you guys. It's like Crafter's Companion is magical. There's magic here.
Joy, there's not a dry eye in the studio here. Debbie's welling up, I'm welling up.
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. Crafters TV, create every day.
We do create every day, sometimes even cards. Right, where are we going next? And Jan, just double check these comments. Susan says, healthy Joe, so you won't feel guilty afterwards. And after all, you'll be on a high from a completed lovely project. I guess that's the case then. That's what it is. Maybe salad. I'll be high on craft at that point. What's next, Jan?
Right, so we're going to start and do a little bit of construction again. So I'm going to bring my base back in that we stuck our piece of pattern paper on. And this time I'm going back to my slightly wider red line tape. So I've got the 6mm tape again. And the first thing we're going to do is stick our 2 tall pillars to the actual card back.
Can I do this with wet glue, Jan, or is it best to do this with a red line tape?
The reason I use the red line tape is because you've got an instant stick, because we're going to work on top of them. So if you're using a wet glue, you just need that little bit of drying time.
Okay,
otherwise
so
things
at
are going to move.
home, wet glue be all good.
Yeah, it's just obviously when we're doing it like this and we've got to keep going, you want that first layer to be dry. Otherwise, if we're going to work on top of it, it does allow for a little bit of movement with the wet glue.
We don't want any seepage, do we?
I am a big lover of red line tape. I use it way too much. I get through tons of it, and I just, it's just one of those things. So on that back section where we pop the cross, the one that's blank with no pattern paper on, I've just run up each side a couple of layers of that red line tape, because we want this to anchor to the back of the card and not be going anywhere. And while I've got that red line tape out, I'm going to do the same on the back of those shorter pillars too. All right, so that's the first one, and I'm going to bring the two shorter ones in, and I'm going to do the same on the blank piece on the back of those, so that those are prepped ready. And then we're going to do that construction across the front of the card, which makes those pillars and then that sort of stage area for the theatre part of it. So again, just running that along each side, on that side that had no pattern paper, so that we're all good to go. And again, just trim it level with the edge of your card. And then we're going to sort of add pillars, then sandwich a piece of acetate, and then we're going to add pillars. Do you know, I've done what I did at home as well.
What you done, Jan?
I've done a bit wrong. I'll explain when I get there what I've done wrong. Oh, for goodness sake. I did exactly the same at home, and I had to...
Have I done a bit wrong as well?
Yeah, we probably have all done a bit wrong now, because Jan's done it wrong. But I will explain what I've done when we get there, and there is a way to fix it, because I actually did it on this one too. And you'd think, having done it once, I'd have learned from it. But no, Jan's done the same again.
Oh, Jan, what
Forgive
you like?
me. Shoot me.
We'll forgive you. We're not going to shoot you.
That's it. Off she goes. Pack your bags. All right. So again, just
it's a bit harsh.
Bit harsh.
Anyone's standard, yeah.
So again, just give that red line tape a burnish, so that it's going to release that that cover tape nice and easy. So you want to get rid of all the air bubbles underneath, and then I'm going to take the liner off the back.
Sandra says Pete's not in their house. Hubby goes and gets it from Aldi and cooks it.
Yeah, we've got our local. We've got
like the nice.
We've got a garage close by us at the end, literally at the top of our estate, and that's got a co-op attached to it. And the co-op owned pizzas are lovely. Yeah,
delicious. Yeah.
Right, so what we're going to do then, make sure that you've got the right orientation. So if this is the front and you want, you know, your decoration showing at the top, because remember the bottom half is going to be covered by the smaller pillar. So I've got my feathered parts that I chose at the top here. And then I've squashed it so that the red liner tape is on the outside section. All right, and then I'm working on the left-hand side of my card, and I'm literally now going to leave it flat and line it up with the outside edge of the white card. So it wants to run flush down that outside edge of the white stamping card. And once you've got that in place and you're happy with it, again, you can give it a really good burnish to make sure it's all stuck. And then when we pop it back up, you've got that first pillar in place there. So you've got a nice flush edge down here, but you've got that first one there, and you've got your three decorative sides, and the blank one was stuck down.
Do you know what? I think I lined that up all right, Jan.
Yeah, and then we're going to do the same with the other side. So again, I'm going to take the liner off the tape. Okay. If it's not coming off as well as you would like, just give it another press. And the more you burnish it, the easier that piece should come off. So again, this time, check that orientation again. I've got my feathers in the top section. This time you want to squish it so that this is on the right-hand side. So the sticky tape, I'm working on the right-hand side of the card. This one wants to be on the right-hand side at the bottom. And we're going to do the same again. We're going to pop it right along that white edge of the card so that it's nice and flush. Level top and bottom, and then once you're happy, give it a good press into place. And this is why I like to use that red line tape. If you're using the wet glue, you've got to allow time for that wet glue to dry before we then work on the next bit, otherwise it's going to be wriggling about all over. So again, just double check. They should all fold nice and flat, whichever way you press them, and make sure we've got everything. And you should end up with a piece that looks like that to start us off.
Got it.
Yep. So next piece then is your largest, your deepest section of the acetate. All right. And we're going to use the tape face down and this one's going to fit not quite edge to edge. If you remember, we took that 1/8 of an inch off. So you're literally going to get those columns nice and sort of straight, but we're going to stick it just inside. So again, I'm going to take one side off first, and then literally it wants to be level at the bottom here. The more I look at this, the more I think it's got a coating on, but we'll see. So level at the bottom of your card, and just probably about level with your pattern paper rather than the edge of the card. And then once you're happy with it in place, again, you can squish it flat and press that red line tape down. And then I'm going to do the same at the other side. I'm going to take the red line off, and I'm going to bring it this way, and I'm going to make sure that it stays level with the bottom edge of the card, and then line it up. And I've used the edge of my pattern paper as a guide for that. And again, it will still fold flat. All right, so you can see there that it's all nice and flat, and you've got that first part of your stage in place. Yeah?
Nearly.
Nearly. Okay?
I had a bit of a wonky donkey acetate situation, but I think we're there now.
That's all right. Plenty of time.
There we are. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're all right, Jan. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go. Look, that's fine. Yeah. So it still folds either way, because it's still going to fold flat when we've finished. Okay. But we want it in its upright position again. And then we're going to pop the smaller ones over the top of the acetate to conceal it. Now, can you see where my mistake's gone?
Where? What's the mistake?
We should have left these 2 front pieces of paper to stick over the next layer of acetate, which is exactly what I did at home, but I'll show you how to fix it. So the next thing then is to take the backing off the red line tape that's on the back of your small pillars. So we're going to do one at a time again. Okay, take that red line off. Just if you've got that paper that's got some orientation on it, just make sure you've got the right ones, the left and right. And again, working on the left first, I've squished my pillar so that the sticky bit's on the left hand side, just like we did before. And then I'm going to flatten this piece. All right, so I've pushed it to the left now. This is the front. I've pushed it to the left, and again, I'm going to line up the small one at the bottom.
Sounds like a dance move. Push
and
to the
down
left.
that outside edge.
Take it back now, y'all.
And then give that a burnish in place. So that one's laid directly on top, and then once we bring it up, you can see that we're going for this kind of look. It runs parallel, and this is half the height of the tall one behind it. So that's what we're aiming for there. Okay, and then we're going to do exactly the same at the other side there. So again, I'm going to just make sure we get rid of that red line. And again, I've still got the card in the same orientation. It's the right way up. I'm going to work on this side. So this time, I've got my feathers the right way up. I'm going to push the sticky bit out to the right-hand side. Yep, it wants to stick to this edge, so fold your card outwards so that that edge is on the right-hand side. I've got my sticky edge at the right-hand side, and again, I'm going to line up the bottom piece, line up that outside edge, and stick that one straight over the top so that we've secured that piece of acetate inside. And then when we get everything back in place, give it a wobble each way, we've got the beginnings of that double pillar there. We've got the first part of our stage in place, and then this piece is going to stick across the front, and it should have been underneath here. Now I've actually got a little bit left
forgive you, Jan.
that I'm hoping is just going to be the right size to cover, which is exactly what I did here, and you'd think I'd have remembered that that's what happened. So I'm just going to quickly, if you've done the same, well, you will have done the same.
Yeah, see, I'm not right. I don't mind that
followed.
I've got a bit of adhesive on slate. I'm just going to whack it on as it is.
You're just going to go for it, okay?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just going to
whack it
recut
on.
I can't leave the adhesive showing, so I'm going to go.
Is it gonna wind you up that my adhesive showing?
No, not at all. That's your card. You're entitled to do what you wish with your card. But me being me, I've got to cover that bit up. So I'm just going to use that bit of scrap that just happened.
I don't mind if you can see my sticky bits, it's fine.
It was almost as if I knew, look, that piece was just the big enough to cut those out of it. And then once I've stuck the acetate down, I can cover those front two pieces. So you will have followed my directions, I apologise. And then literally take that acetate, take the red line off again, and we're going to do the same again. I'm going to start on this side, flush with the bottom of your card, and level roughly with the outside edge of your pattern paper. And then once you're happy, give that a burnish. And then I'm going to take the tape off the other side.
I'm not sure you can even, well, you can actually, Jan.
What we're doing?
I wouldn't know unless I knew it was there, the adhesive on mine. I don't really think you can see it.
Yeah, if you're happy with it, that's fine.
I'm happy. And
absolutely.
I know it. I'm going to
if you're okay with it like that, that's absolutely fine. But me being me, I'm going to have to stick these two pieces to cover that. And I'm really cross that I forgot to do that bit again. As I say, I did it when I did the original sample. And now I've done exactly the same. I've lost my nice little feathered bits. Look, oh dear. You just can't get the staff these days, can you? But that bit's just going to sit.
And you're the headmistress. If you've done it twice, then there's no hope for the rest of us, sorry.
Well, it just shows, you know, we all make mistakes, and I do still make mistakes. I don't profess ever to be perfect, and I think there's always something to learn. And this is proof that I make mistakes. Sometimes I end up with things in the bin because I get so cross that it's not doing what I want it to do, that I end up just slinging the lot. I think, nope, I'm done with that now, and it goes in the bin. So yeah, I'm just like everybody else. So again, I'm just going to lay those straight over the top, and nobody would be any the wiser that we've actually had to add that little bit. So there we go. We've got our double pillar. Theatre, we've got our little stage ready to decorate. So this is actually the main sort of bulk of the card. The only thing that we haven't done yet is put, and this will just strengthen it a little bit more, that last matten layer, when we stamped a sentiment in here, is going to stick on the back of there. So you've got a real nice sturdy piece at the back with two matten layers either side of it. So I'm leaving that bit for now. We've got the bulk of the card made. Now,
Sam's saying she's not worried. I'd love to take a quick straw poll on who's got the sticky bits out, who's covered the sticky bits over. Let me know. Sticky bits out, sticky bits in. Let me know.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that's the same as me that's had to cover the sticky bits up. Let me know that I'm not on my own.
Yeah, let me know who's got the sticky bits in or out.
So what time we got? We've got 20 minutes left. I'm probably not going to be able to do all the stamping. Right. But what I will do is show you, if you haven't come across these before, we'll show you how to stamp and use the dies to cut them out. But I have actually prepared some of mine. I'll show you what you actually need in case we don't get finished. So I stamped out two of the ballerinas there. The same ballerina. There are different ballerinas, so you could stamp two different ones if you wish. And then I also stamped out two of the little swans. I love the swans. I think they're beautiful. I think they'll be nice for lots of different cards. And I like the fact that we've got them facing each other. So I've done those. And then there are two different size hearts on the stamp set. I've just done one of those to go in the middle. There's a little moon, which I've stamped there, and just added a bit of colour, and then I've stamped out two of the sentiments. So we've got a Swan Lake, which is going to go under the swans at the front, and then my heart belongs to you to go on the
how
inside.
Sweet. What a lovely sentiment.
All right, so what I will do then, just seeing as we have got a little bit of time left, is I will show you how that system works if you haven't come across these before. So I'm just going to grab the stamp set and the die set out of my box there. Okay, and I've also got my stamping platform. I've just got the little one because they're only small stamps. If you've got the magnetic base, that's absolutely fine. If you've got a larger stamping platform, don't worry about the sizes of them. I've got my stamping mat. I'm going to grab the bit of Nina cardstock that was left when we cut the original piece for the sentiment. and then I've taken, because I coloured mine with alcohol markers, I've used the alcohol proof dye, and you've heard me say many times I prefer the flagstone to the black. Just find it a little bit softer than the black on the white, but again, entirely your choice. If you've got the black one, it will work just the same. If you prefer the brown, absolutely fine. And I actually chose my tri-blend markers just to add some colour, and I've coloured the ballerina in the lilac shades to match that lilac design that I'd done on here. The original one was done in blue.
Everyone's covering their bits over, by the way, Jan.
They're all covering them over. I'm not alone, am I?
No.
And then on the white areas, for such as the swans and the moon, I just use a grey marker, and I've just done little touches around the edge to just give a little bit of definition rather than it just being flat. The same on the moon there. It's just got a little tiny bit of grey around the edge, and it gives you a little bit of sort of shaping on it rather than it just being dead flat. So again, we're just going to grab one of the stamps. We'll do the ballerina. And like I said, there are 3. I chose this one because we've got a die here that matches her. All right. This particular one doesn't actually have a die, but the couple does. You've got the die here to cut out the ballet couple. So again, you know, whichever one you prefer. I'm going to stick with this one that I used before. Whoops. Just take her off there.
I'm done there, Jan. I'm going to tap out. I'm very happy with what I have achieved.
That's fine. So again, I'm just going to pop that on there. I'm going to add a little bit of the stamping ink there. And this is our finesse range, which was designed with stamping in mind. It's a nice fine ink. And you can either get an alcohol proof one or a waterproof one. If you prefer to colour with the watercolour markers, then just go for the waterproof one. If you want to colour with the blending pencils, then either of them will work. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that down on here. Okay, so you've got that lovely shaping going on there. And then I'm going to take a little bit of low-tack tape, and we're going to tape that die around it. So if you have a look at the die, you can see that the cutting edge on the die is right in the middle of the metal work. All right. So what I like to do is actually line this up so that I can see the bulk of my line art through the gap.
Nice that they're hollow, I wanted to say, but I don't even know if that's the word.
I know what you mean.
Sometimes they're covered, aren't they?
Yeah.
They'll have a thin piece of metal all the way over.
Which does make it harder, yeah. And then really, it is probably really important at this stage to tape it down, because I wouldn't risk this staying in place to pop it through the machine. If, you know, especially, I would recommend doing this bit first and then colouring, because you don't want to spend an age doing all your colour blending if you're using your alcohol markers, all your shading, and then cut it out for the die to slip and it chop her arm off or her leg off. So do the die cutting first. I'm just going to pop that in between I've got the big Gemini out, but I've got the small plates there, and literally put my thin die sandwich together, move that one, pass that through the machine. I've got boxes everywhere. Don't worry about if you hear that clicking. It happens when you've got an outline die. I don't know why, it's something to do with the pressure in the machine, but when you've just got an open outline, it does it a lot with the nesting dies.
Really?
It's not anything wrong, it's just the pressure inside the machine.
It sounds like it's cutting acetate, doesn't it?
Yes, and some people think, oh, what's it doing, and stop it, because it shouldn't be doing that, but don't worry, it is normal. And then literally, we can take away that tape nice and gently, and she will pop out of the back there. And you can see we've got that lovely, just that little white line around the edge of it there. Now, if you're not keen on the white edge, I know some people don't like the white edge. Again, couple of options. You can use one of your grey markers and colour in the edge so that it takes some of the white away. Or if you prefer to fussy cut, you can just take your little snips and you can cut right up to the black line. Now, I don't trust myself to do that because she'll end up with sort of bits missing. So again, I quite like that white line around it. And then whatever colour medium you've got, whatever you choose, you can then add your colour to take her from sort of just the plain there and add those colours into it. So I've used the flesh tones for her skin. I use the lavender blend to pick up that lilac in the...
Amazing.
And then literally, all I'm going to do with these is decide whereabouts I want everything. And I actually popped the ballerinas in the front here like so.
Cute.
And then I had Swan Lake. I did mat and layer this on a little bit of the scrap that we'd got left. So I have mat and layered the sentiments, but this went right at the bottom with the 2 little swans above it like so, and just centered them with the little love heart in between like this. And then the moon went up here, and my heart belongs to you went on the inside. So if you want to take a quick screenshot there, and then I'll bring you in the one that I did at home, just for the layout, because you can add, you know, you might want to add different images in here, entirely up to you how you decorate. But if I just swap that over and bring the one that I did at home, I've just added a little bit of that gorgeous iridescent glitter, again, just on the wings on the swans, on the bottom of her dress. Just literally popped a little bit of my tacky glue, just left it a couple of seconds to go tacky, and then tipped some of that lovely iridescent glitter on there. And then a bit of ribbon, which matches from the box. And then just from my own stash, I've just got some of the little iridescent flat back rhinestones there that I've just added as extra detail. So I'll leave that one there for you to take a screenshot so that you can follow that design if you wish. But again, you might want that little manor house in, you know, on your stage at the front, however you want to lay it out. But don't forget, guys, when you've finished, pop them on the Facebook page, either on my page or on Crafter's page, so that we can have a look at them afterwards. I know some of you like to send them through the messaging, and I'll have a look at them when they're all finished. But hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've all got a finished sample. The only thing that I haven't done, just mentioned that last piece because it is still lying about there, is to choose a nice verse sentiment, and I use mine from the verse companion there, and literally stamped it in the centre, wishing you a day filled with joy, love and happiness. And then that's going to go on the back of that white piece on the reverse of your card there. Nice. And again, I would go with my Kalal just to stick that last piece on there. Okay,
there we are.
Fabulous.
Brilliant. What a fantastic, fantastic craft along. Let me share with you what's in the box then, what you're going to receive if you're going for the Swan Lake. It's available in a couple of different options. I'll take you through those options in just a second. But let's have a look at, firstly, the stamps and dies that you've got in here. Absolutely loads of them for you. The dies that's going to cut them out and enable you to create all of these. Then these extra embellishing items for you as well. So you can see there, you've got your feathers, sentiments in there. Then we move into, you've then got your stencils here, which are gorgeous. A couple of different styles of stencil in there for you. You've also got pearlescent cardstock as well. Then you've got your regular cardstock too, which is brilliant. All of your pattern papers within there as well. Then we've got the feathers as well, which I mean are just fantastic. They're a bit vague as showgirl, aren't they, as well as being ballerina.
They're gorgeous,
and you've got the ribbons in there too. So all of that comes your way in the box. Oh, and also the dies. Can't forget the dies, can I? It's because I snuck them out before the show. You will get the dies in there included too. Brilliant. So, just check in with Rhonda before we finish. Rhonda, how's it going?
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I've got my...
Oh, nice.
Yep, ready, yeah?
Stamps.
Beautiful.
Cute.
Yep.
They're not colored, of course, but...
No, they will be sometime soon, eh?
And then the card.
Nice,
Fantastic.
I'm loving it.
Well done, that looks gorgeous. And you've got your little rhinestones in place, yeah? Beautiful.
Yep.
Well done.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Rhonda,
This was fun.
What are you doing? Have you enjoyed doing the craft along? Is it nice being on the show?
Oh, I love it. This is like my third time on.
Fabulous. What would you say to anyone that was thinking about coming on and joining us for a craft along?
Don't be a chicken.
I love it.
I don't know what, it's even more hilarious with your beautiful accent as well, Rhonda. Rhonda, what are you doing?
No, I don't have the accent. You have the accent.
What are you doing for the rest of your weekend?
Relaxing.
Nice.
This is the first time I've been able to craft in 6 months. I had a serious back injury.
Oh, wow. So glad you're on the mend.
Oh, me too.
Well, it's lovely.
So is my husband.
Means you can do the cleaning again now, though. That would be the problem. It'd be nagging you to do all sorts of different things.
Oh, no. He's really good at laundry and cooking, and so...
Brilliant.
I've got it made.
It sounds like it. Right, Rhonda, a pleasure to have you on the show. I really hope we'll see you again soon as well.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm going to do a Monday Makers pretty soon.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Got to be.
I promise. I promised Gilmore.
Pinky promise?
Pinky promise.
Okay, brilliant. Rhonda, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you back here on Crafters TV real soon. Much love. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us. Right. Don't forget as well, you can go for the box on its own. Don't forget about the box with the larger collection too. So box on its own, good value. Box with the extras, brilliant value. So you've got 2 ink pads and you've then also got your 2 card collections within there as well. The other thing I want to share with you, of course, is that beautiful glitter that's absolutely everywhere. I'm sorry, Jake, here in the studio. Here you've got that gorgeous chunky glitter from the Enchanted Dreams. I mean, it is... Oh, it's really, really beautiful. So that's coming in there. That's available for you. The glitter is 50 grams, which is loads. $5.99. It wasn't included in the original collection of the Enchanted Dreams as well, so if you didn't get it, now's your chance. We also have the gilding flakes, very busy on these. You get the gold gilding flakes, the adhesive, and you've also got the sponge applicator within there too, which is great. Lots and lots of love for Jan's craft along. Marilyn says, Jan, you are the best teacher, beautiful results. CJ says, beautiful Jan. Lynn saying, beautiful card. Therese says, beautiful project, Jan. We'll definitely save this one, save the video. Beth saying, very nice, Jan, you're such a good instructor. I love how you're so detailed. And Linda says, I bought this collection for the papers. The colours are gorgeous. They are. And so many beautiful things you can do with this too, Jan.
Yep, there are. I mean, this is just one project, you know, and it's sort of, don't be afraid to use those items in your box. I know when I first started collecting the signature collections, I was like, oh, don't want to use it. I don't want to waste it all. I don't want to use it. And subsequently, I've still got bits of collections left all over the place. So yeah, delve in there, use it, make it work for you. And then, like I said, once you've used the consumables, you've got that stamp set and you've got the dies to actually continue working with them on other projects. So I've just got a few more samples just to show you some more ideas. This one's along that theatre card design again, but just look how that one's been done. Very, very clever there by Trudy on our design team. She's used that willow as almost like the curtains at the back of the stage, which looks fabulous, and it's been stamped on vellum here, so it's got that sort of translucent effect to it. And then those ballerinas on the stage with the little swans, even wearing their crowns, which are part of the stamp set as well. So if you look at the depth and dimension in there, it's got the manor house at the back, look, with the moon. Really, really nice sample on that one. So yeah, great design there, Trudy. And then again, just showing you that embossing folder that we used at the top of the show in place. But look how different. That's done on some of the pearlescent card out of the kit with silver gilding wax. This one's been done with the inks. So exactly the same techniques there, just using different colouring mediums, and you've got 2 totally different looks.
Brilliant.
So adding the stencil's got the, oops, put the wrong one down. The stencil's got the little swans in there, so you can actually get that into your design. And again, adding the detail around the side. And then again, if you want to go slightly smaller, you've got that lovely design there. So this was actually similar to the one that I made earlier in that triple design. And again, not just cards. What about popping these beautiful papers and images onto a little gift bag there as well? You know, you wouldn't be able to buy anything like that in the shops, but designing your own like that. And obviously you've got the facility to go up to that 8x8 size, so you can make as large a gift bag as you wish. But yeah, just personalising it, I think it looks gorgeous. Just adding, this one's just add some of that, just add the, I don't know whether we can just pick it up there on the camera. There's a little bit of the glitter, just embellishing that paper onto her skirt there, just to give it a little bit of a shimmer. So just embellishing the papers with it, you know, nothing else. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, just a few more ideas there. Really, really gorgeous. Lots you're going to be able to do with this, lots of inspiration. There's a launch day on this now. We've got a craft along. Remember, you can watch this back anytime you like. Just need to give you a bit of a heads up, looking ahead to that later Dreaming show. I think we're going to have sellouts before we go live. Jan, I'm afraid the art board, is it like
gift
deja vu? We've been here before, haven't we? We should learn.
They are going to go, I'm afraid. 80% of those have gone already. So I would snap them up between shows, because we're not going to see them, I don't
So we've
think,
got
in
another
that
couple of
later show.
hours left yet, haven't we, before
Yeah,
that
another
show?
couple of hours
so,
before the show, and then
yeah.
so go over now after the show, crafterscompanion.co.uk.com.au. Well, the best way to get to the show you want, I find, is click offers at the top, and then from the drop down hit Craft House, and then you'll be able to click into the show, see everything. Also, with regards to stamps, until the end of tonight, 40 or 50% off. 50% off all individual stamps on the website, excludes stamps and dies. So make sure you go and have a little look at that. All individual stamps, half off. Jan, absolute pleasure spending time with you again.
You're
in the studio.
welcome. I
Thank you.
thoroughly enjoy this. Is one of my favourite shows. I love the teaching and being able to share it with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for guiding me through that project. Thank you to you guys as well. If any of you have crafted a long life, please send your pictures in between shows. studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk, and I'll give you the details of that again at the start of the Craft House show, so you can send them in. Then we are going to go. I think I might have a lie down, Jan. I'm exhausted after that. We'll see you back here in a couple of hours. Take care.